Welcome to More Than a Casserole, a podcast dedicated to education, empowerment, and engaging people to feel more comfortable talking about death and also helping them provide holistic support to those who are in the dying process. Today, we're going to be talking about why just praying about it isn't enough and how to talk to people who have been diagnosed with terminal illnesses. I'm your host, Michael Carpenter, and I'm here with my co-host, Sonja Koenig, and Pastor Amber Jane Frazier with Texas Doula Movement. Glad to have you guys here for another episode.
Thank you.
Why don't you guys tell us, what is Texas Doula Movement? How are y'all supporting people in the dying process?
Well, Texas Doula Movement, first of all, like he said, my name is Sonja Koenig. I have been an end-of-life doula for over 30 plus years. I have had the pleasure and the joy of walking many people as they were going through the dying process. At Texas Doula Movement, we teach and train individuals on how they can give holistic support to someone that is dying. I'm the CEO and the founder of Texas Doula Movement, and I myself have gone through the training. And it is important to us that individuals that take our course, they are able to embrace the process of death and embrace walking a person through death. We are non-medical individuals. And so as an end-of-life doula, we don't work with you on the medical side, although some of us are very educated in that area. We basically work with you on the non-medical side, and we teach you the non-medical way of how you can be a support to an individual that is dying. And we also teach church leaders and pastors and chaplains on how they can work with individuals going through the dying process. Churches, pastors, chaplains, they're good for you. After you die, they're wonderful support. But a lot of them don't know how to work with you when you're going through the process. And so we're there to teach and educate them on how to go through the dying process.
Okay. Well, I'm Pastor Amber Jane. I'm the outreach pastor for Whole Life Christian Church West at San Antonio, Texas. And I'm also the education director for Texas Doula Movement. And I've had many years. I can't remember the first person that I sat with. I have been sitting with people that are going through the dying process since I was a young adult. I just remember that when we had family members, when we had church members that were dying, they would call me. There was a joke that they used to say about me: don't let Emma Jane come to you because you're going to die. If Emma Jane comes to visit you, that means you're dying. But that was because they always called me when someone was dying. But I have found that working with and walking with those that are going through the dying process has enabled me to appreciate life and the events in life. Good, not so good events, but I've learned to appreciate life events more and to treasure my life and to treasure the life of my family members because of my exposure to walking with those that are dying.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, well, now that we kind of know why you guys are qualified to talk about death, y'all have years of experience. Why isn't praying about it enough when you're talking? Why isn't just saying, pray about it enough when you're talking with someone who has a terminal illness?
From my experience with those that have been walking through the process, they need someone to talk to. There are issues, there are events, there are things that have happened in their lives that they need to put an end to, that they need to understand. There are regrets that they want to talk about so that they can find peace. They understand prayer. They understand the need for prayer, and they want prayer, but they want more. They want a listening ear. They want somebody that will see them still as a person, even though they are maybe the end stages of life, or maybe just the beginning of the knowledge that they have a terminal illness with a projected life span of 6 weeks, 6 months, whatever. But they want somebody that can hear. We call it, in our training, we call it holding space. And everybody cannot hold space. You have to be really prepared. You have to be intentional in holding space. You have to kind of put your personal emotions kind of on the sideline, on the back burner, and let that person, whether it's the family member or whether it's the person that is crossing over or dying, let that person have time to express what they think and how they feel about it. So they want more than prayer. They want a listening ear.
And then you have people that don't believe in prayer, you know, and so you have to be able to be a support to them as well and be able to do it and not pray because they don't believe in that. You know, I've had clients where didn't want me to pray. And so, okay, fine. I respected that. I didn't pray while I was there. I would always ask them, you know, is it okay if I pray for you? And I've had some tell me no. And so I didn't pray for them there, but I did it when I left. You know, I would say a prayer for them. But while I was there were things that I was able to do to help them with whatever issue they were dealing with. And I had to be very careful in the things that I've said to them. There are things I knew what to say to them and things I knew not to say to them. But I had to be able to talk with them and give them that support they needed and not pray for them right there.
Tell us the story of Miss Smith and the agreement. I think that's a great example of this.
Well, she was agnostic. She thought she was atheist, but I helped her understand she was agnostic. And she did not want, I'm a Christian, and she did not want Christianity involved. She didn't want somebody coming in trying to convert her. And so we made an agreement. As long as I did not talk to her about Jesus or God, she was okay with me being there. And so I told her, I said, all right, I will respect that. I won't talk to you about Jesus or God. But if you mention Jesus or God, then I'm going to bust the door wide open and we're going to talk about Jesus and God. Can we agree to that? And she said, yes, that's fine. We can agree to that. And she assured me she was never going to talk about Jesus or God. Well, me being a Christian, when I left, I said, God, now you know goodness well, I can't go love on this woman. I can't go support her and not be able to talk about you. So you're going to have to put you on her mind. So when I go in, she'll ask me about Jesus and God. And so I would go visit her and she would ask me a question about God or about Jesus. And I would say to her, do you remember our agreement? Our agreement was if you did not want me to talk about God or Jesus, I wouldn't. But if you opened the door and invited me to talk about Jesus and God, I was going to bust it open and we're going to talk about it. And she said, yes, I remember our agreement. I said, is it okay then? And she said, yes. And I proceeded. And whatever conversation, whatever she wanted to talk about Jesus and God, we talked about it. But I made sure I honored our agreement. I honored what she said. Even though I wanted to always talk about Jesus and God, I couldn't. I had to respect her and honor the agreement that we made. And I loved it because she was able to find peace in herself. Now, did she change her mind to accept Christ? I don't know that, but I do know that she was able to find peace in knowing that I wasn't going to try to force my religion on her, that I was going to respect her and honor the agreement that she and I had.
And I think that's very important that we realize that we need to choose our words when we're talking to people. We are believers in the Almighty God, the omnipotent God, that one God. We are believers in Jesus as Savior. But there are people that have other beliefs also, and they believe just as strongly, and we need to respect their belief system. Our goal as an end-of-life doula is to give you emotional support, psychosocial support, physical support, spiritual support. But spiritual does not just mean talk about Jesus. It does include that. And that's an important factor in our lives. But for those that believe otherwise, they may have cultural things that they want to do. We need to respect that and honor that because that helps give them peace. There are some belief systems where you wear a certain thing. If you're in the dying process, you have to wear a certain garment. We need to respect that. I remember a situation. I am not Catholic and I don't know the Catholic rituals, but I was called in as a chaplain, as a spiritual leader, so to speak, because this gentleman was in the intimate stages of dying. And his family wanted somebody there. They were not from San Antonio. They didn't know anybody. It was late hours. And I came in and I thought, I'm not Catholic. I don't know your rituals, but I can pray for you. And they were happy and satisfied with that, just to be able to hear someone that gave a spiritual aspect to the situation that they were in. It gave peace to the family, even though I didn't know all the Catholic rituals and terminology and all, but they were still at peace. But what they really wanted was somebody to sit with them. What they really wanted, and I didn't speak Spanish and they didn't speak really good English, but the emotion that I brought in, and my emotion was peace, the emotion that I brought in brought peace to them. The calmness that I had helped them to walk calmly through the situation. And because I could share with them that just because their loved one was not responding did not mean he did not hear, was calming to them, was peaceful to them. And I didn't tell them, I know how you feel.
Right.
I didn't tell them, well, it's going to be better tomorrow. No, that's not true that it's going to be better tomorrow. So the things that I knew not to say, the things that I knew were not of any value, even telling them, well, Lord, God knew best. That doesn't help someone that's going, the family member or that person going through the dying process. So they need more than just praying. They need more than our cliches, our practice words that we say, the traditional things we say. As an end-of-life doula, we need to know what to say. And that's what we do in our training. We teach you what to say that will bring comfort, that will bring peace.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, I'm going to give you an example of what not to say. And I was guilty of this. I could recall I was asked, what's going to happen to me? You have to be very careful because our job is to help them peacefully pass, not pass with a fear of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not interested in the spiritual side at all, but they're interested in making peace with someone else. I had an uncle that on his deathbed, all he wanted was to make peace with his brother. That's all he wanted, just to make peace with his brother. Sometimes those that are dying, they want to know, what kind of effect have I had in life? Who have I impacted? You know, or sometimes they want to know, what can I tell my grandchildren that I don't know and will never know and that will not know me? How can I leave a legacy for them? Not financial legacy, but a historical legacy. And that's what they want. They want to sit down and talk about things like that. Sometimes they just want to forgive someone, but they don't know how to approach it. They don't know how to start it. Sometimes they just want to be angry at God. They just simply want a safe place. I read a book, and I can't remember the name of the book right now, but it was written by a pastor whose only son died. It was so impactful for me. And he was so angry with God. He said, how could you have allowed this to happen? You know, here I am preaching the word and doing all these things you tell me to do. And you let my son die. He was extremely angry. But because he was given space to express his anger, then he could come to terms with, okay, his son's death was because of his son's foolishness. So don't blame God. That's what he came to himself, because he had space to express his anger, space to express his emotion. And he also came to the understanding that the function, the purpose that God had for his son was completed. That gave him peace. But if he hadn't had the space to express himself, so we not only give space for the individual dying, we give space for the family member.
I mean, you talk about holding space. I think preparedness comes to mind, because if you're in that situation, you know, for you in the first example you gave with the Catholic family, you were just there with them, right?
Yes.
And so I think that uncomfortableness of not always having the words to say, or you know, filling the space with talking, you know what I mean? Those are the things. So I think y'all's course probably prepares people to have the right questions, right? To know when to ask questions, how to sit in that uncomfortableness, right? How to be prepared for that. And I think also, you know, talk about being equipped to help people feel comfortable, right? Because you're saying, you know, people want to, you know, talk about their regrets. They want to talk about the unforgiveness. They probably aren't going to do that unless they feel comfortable with you, right? So do you guys teach people, if you don't already have a great relationship with a person, do y'all teach people how to get past that social barrier that you have to get to really allow someone to be comfortable to share with you?
Individually, everybody's going to do it different. But the first thing we strive to teach people, silence is not bad. And we teach general phrases that you should not say. For example, I know how you feel. No, you don't know how I feel, because you're not walking in my shoes. You don't have my history with this person. We teach about grief and the different stages of grief, because if I can recognize where you are, then it enables me to be there with you. I'll let you start the conversation. Or I may say something like, tell me about your life. Tell me about your grandchildren. Things that will start. What would you, if it's someone that is responsive, what would you like to talk about? You know, are you afraid right now? How do you feel? What's going on in your mind? Or if they don't want to talk, just be silent. Sometimes it's just playing their favorite music will cause them to want to talk. Sometimes it's having different scents. The environment, we set up an environment for peace so that if they want to talk, they can. If they don't want to talk, they don't have to. And that's not only with the person that's dying, but also with the family members. And I keep stressing the family members because they help set the environment for what the person that's dying is going through. Because some people will not freely express themselves because they don't want to cause anxiety in their family member. They're more concerned about their family member and their response than they are about what's going on with them. So we help set the environment by telling those that we're training things to say and things not to say. You don't tell someone that's dying, well, I had a friend that had tuberculosis like you have, and this is what happened to them. Not unless they ask you, do you know anyone that has had? Then you don't want to start your conversation like that. You don't want to start your conversation, it's going to be better tomorrow. That's not true.
Right.
That's not true.
Yeah.
You know, but you might want to just, hi, Mr. Jones. How's your day been today? you want to share what's going on? Or ask them, are you feeling uncomfortable? Are you hurting? Find a way to communicate with them. So those are the things we teach to set the atmosphere.
We also do role play with our students. We set scenarios and, you are this person, pretend you are this person and think about how would it feel? So we do role plays and play different games so that they can get an idea of what an actual person feels like when you ask them not questions or when you ask them yes questions. We give them opportunities where we're helping them to learn. And so we put them in the situation.
Love it. How can someone get more resources from Texas Doula Movement or ask you guys questions or work with you guys?
Well, they can, either call us at 210-400-0540, or they can email us at carebeyond@Texas Doula Movement, or visit our website at www.txdoulamvmnt. And by doing those 3 different things, you will be able to get access to us, learn more information about us, and even enroll in one of our courses if you choose to.
And I believe you guys said y'all have some additional books and resources people can read as well, and we'll put those in the show notes of this.
Yes. And these are books that we have read ourselves that have helped us in preparing our courses and even educating us on how to help and work with people. And so if the resource worked well for us, then we want to pass it on to our students.